He said it over and over for years.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question.
It is wrong to cut health care for the working poor.
There's a lot of MAGAs on Medicaid. I'm telling you, if you don't think so, you are dead wrong.
The effect of this bill is to break a promise.
Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
Nothing.
We're going to love and cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not going to do anything with that.
His biggest MAGA supporters said no cuts to Medicaid. He thinks you're stupid and he can fool you. He doesn't care about your health insurance. All he wanted was your vote. Donald Trump. It's just not working.
In the next few minutes, you're going to see why Trump's latest outburst was not a mistake. It was the Lincoln Project's dream scenario. We'll uncover the angles, both literal and strategic, that made him look small, flustered, and unpresidential. And here's the kicker. These ads weren't aimed at voters first. They were aimed at Trump himself. Once they set him off, the free publicity rolled in. By the end, you'll know how one calculated ad buy near Mar-a-Lago turned into days of headlines, and why he still hasn't learned the lesson. Before we move on, I will like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. One of the strangest things about this whole story is that one of the most viral political ad campaigns in recent memory wasn't even aimed at persuading regular voters. Nope, it was laser-focused on one man sitting in a gold-plated apartment in Florida.
Oops, Donald. You thought you sent J.D. Vance to talk to Rupert Murdoch about stopping the Epstein story. Well, that didn't work. You should have sent Don Jr. or someone else that you could trust. Because you know J.D. Vance will tell anybody whatever it takes to get what he wants. Maybe J.D. Vance and Rupert figured out the succession. Who comes after you? They don't want to wait. Maybe they talked about when to start the 25th Amendment process to take you out. There's something you should worry about, Donald. Something you should think about. What if J.D. Vance cuts a deal with Rupert? And Rupert, he won't just listen to J.D. He'll take action. And if J.D. and Rupert get their way, you'll lose, Donald. You'll lose everything.
Glued to his TV like it's still November 2016, this wasn't about converting swing states. This was about making sure one orange-tinted viewer saw something that would ruin his morning coffee every single day. The Lincoln Project didn't throw tens of millions into blanket national ads. They didn't need to. Instead, they acted like internet trolls, except these trolls had an actual campaign staff and enough money to make sure their insults were high definition. It wasn't the old political playbook. It was pure psychological warfare mixed with marketing tricks that would make a clickbait farm proud. They asked a simple question. Why try to reach 200 million Americans when you only need to get under the skin of one loud guy who can't stop talking about himself? But how does a small team of ex-Republicans make the most powerful man in their party their unpaid billboard? This is where it gets clever. They bought airtime on shows Trump was known to watch like Fox and Friends, but just in specific Florida markets where Mar-a-Lago sits.
A year ago, he was Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney. Todd Blanche defended Trump in the Stormy Daniels hush money trial. Trump was convicted on all 34 counts. Here's what Donald Trump had to say about the convicted sex trafficker.
I wish her well. Whatever it is, I just wish her well, Frank.
Today, he's an assistant attorney general of the United States. What's he doing? Flying to Florida to talk with sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted in the Epstein criminal case. Maxwell knows everything. She'd love a pardon.
She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
Yeah, Donald Trump thinks we're that stupid. Release the Epstein files. Now.
They put up billboards along the roads he'd take to golf. They even bought ad slots on little-watched local stations because they knew his aides would flip through and find them while looking for friendly coverage. These weren't mass campaigns. They were shiny objects placed right in front of his eyes, impossible to ignore unless he threw out his TV like an old VCR. And the visuals? Brutal. We're talking close-ups from unflattering angles, shots where his bronzer looked more like a paint job that got rained on, and slow-motion clips of him shuffling awkwardly compared to polished clips of his rivals striding in like they were filming a cologne commercial. Imagine the photo on your driver's license where you blinked mid-flash, and now someone rents a billboard to put it next to a glamour shot of your ex. That's the level of petty we're dealing with here. They didn't just insult him randomly either. These ads were almost engineered in a lab to poke his soft spots. His appearance? Check. His alpha male brand? Torn apart. And the word he can't stand more than anything, loser, was splashed everywhere, sometimes with big bold letters over his image like a football score.
Uh-oh, Donald. It happened. The man who made you is now the man who betrayed you. Elon hurt your polls, your ratings. You threw him out.
President Trump and Elon Musk erupted into a nasty public feud today,
Stabbing you in the back. And you're so quiet about it. You had to, right? But now Elon's mad, big time, trying to kill your tax bill.
The bromance is definitely over.
So weak, so scared. Elon's got real money, not your crypto scam pocket change. Now he's out to get you. Sad.
He studied the pressure points and pushed them with the precision of a dentist hitting a nerve on purpose. This was bait, and not just any bait. It was the kind you know the fish can't resist. All they needed him to do was snap, and they could sit back and watch him broadcast their work to millions for free. The very first time he raged about an ad, it proved the plan worked. Suddenly, he wasn't the leader of his party. He was the Lincoln Project's most effective messenger, turning their attack ads into breaking news segments. And once he'd taken that bite, the real game began. Because here's the question that makes you wonder. After they got him hooked, how did they keep him charging at the lure over and over like it was the first time? Trump's late-night Truth Social rants started looking like they were run on a timer. You could almost set your watch to them. 11:54 p.m., here comes another post about how his hands are perfect, how he's still the toughest guy in politics, or how everyone says he's winning big. Each one read like the kind of thing you'd type angrily into your phone after seeing a bad meme about yourself. For the Lincoln Project, this wasn't just entertainment. This was data. Every meltdown was a free focus group that told them exactly which nerves they hit and how hard they could press next time. The question is, why didn't he ever just ignore the ads? Not once. You'd think a man who was president could brush off a grainy video on Fox. But Trump doesn't just hate being criticized. He sees every jab as a challenge he has to dominate. Psychologists who study narcissism point out that people like him don't do let it slide.
It's amazing. Some people still think Donald Trump knows how to negotiate, that he's a deal maker. But really, he's a chicken. Wall Street figured it out. Same trade every time. It's the taco trade, because Trump always chickens out. He talks a big game on tariffs, then backs down. Over and over. When Trump goes hard on something, just bet on the dip. Wait for Trump to blink. Then cash in on the rebound. Every single time. Trump always chickens out. He's not a deal maker. He's not a negotiator. He's a taco.
They do attack until the room shuts up. That's why even the smallest insult gets a nuclear-level reaction from him. He treats every Lincoln Project ad like it's a personal betrayal from his best friend. It's like watching a cat lose its mind over a red laser dot, except this laser is a humiliating slow-motion clip of him sweating under stage lights, looping on Fox News while snarky narration calls him weak. The second he jumps at the dot, they move it, and he jumps again. He can't help it. This is a man who once held a press conference to defend the size of his crowd, so you can imagine what happens when someone calls him a loser in 4K resolution. The Lincoln Project didn't even need to guess what to do next. They'd watch his latest outburst, break down which part got the loudest reaction, and then build their next ad to hit that same spot harder. If mocking his manliness made him go on a 3-post rant, congratulations. That's the theme for next week's spot. If his crowd-size complaint took over the news cycle, guess what's appearing in big white letters in their next clip? They weren't throwing random insults. They were adjusting like a PR team that had insider notes on their target's insecurities. The triggers were almost always the same. The loser label worked like magic. Showing empty seats at his rallies made his voice go up an octave online. And nothing seemed to make him angrier than awkward shots of him looking tired or off balance against footage of rivals looking confident. It was psychology with a camera crew. And here's where it got wild. Every furious response didn't just reach his followers. Cable news picked them up, newspapers ran them, and social media spread them far beyond their original reach. Millions of people who had never even heard of the Lincoln Project were now watching their ads because Trump himself kept pointing a giant spotlight at them. He might as well have sent out links with the caption, "Please share this. It made me mad." In a weird reversal, he was no longer the hunter trying to crush his critics. He was the one being trained. The Lincoln Project just kept tossing the ball, and he kept bringing it back, barking the whole way. By reacting on cue, Trump showed them exactly how to keep him tied up and shouting while they got endless free airtime. The funniest part? He handed them publicity they could never have afforded on their own, all because his ego wouldn't let him scroll past without swinging back. And that's the big irony. One man's thin skin turned into the best marketing budget his enemies never had to pay for. The real twist here is that the Lincoln Project didn't just get Trump's attention. They turned him into the loudspeaker for his own roast. Every tantrum, every late-night post, every all-caps rant blasted their message further than their budget ever could. It proves that in politics, sometimes it's not about spending more, it's about playing smarter. They ran circles around him while he thought he was fighting back. If he ever learns to ignore them, they might actually have to buy more ads. But lucky for them, Grumpy Trumpy can't resist taking the bait and hitting share for free.